Rick Dollar, we are live on location in the big town of Nashville, Tennessee. Actually, it's Hendersonville, Tennessee, we'll say that. And I found these guys running around here, so I thought I'd sit them down for a minute. Of course, you might recognize this fella right here, Governor Huckabee. Thank you so much
today Rick,
for sitting down with us. And Mr. Lamar Peek, this is the gentleman with the Acuff Fiddle. And you're going to find out more about that later. But first of all, Governor Huckabee, I want to thank you for sitting down with us. I know you're a busy man today, and TV tapings are not always, they don't run the way we want them to. So
not all the time, but it's really a pleasure having you guys here. Thank you for coming, and so excited to have Lamar here to talk about the fiddle.
Yeah.
Great story. It's one of those just amazing, almost miraculous stories.
It is. It is, and we're just so glad that the Mountain Music Museum can be here to be a part of it and to be able to have the fiddle at the museum in Kingsport, Tennessee for a short while is amazing to us also. But first of all, I want to talk to you about your work with young people in the music industry. You do a lot for these people that people don't normally hear about, and just fill us in a little bit. Put a little bit of that out there.
Well, Rick, I grew up basically dirt poor, South Arkansas kid that came from a family that didn't have much, lived in a rent house my whole life, and my dad worked 2 jobs. He never finished high school. No male above me had ever finished high school. Grandfather, great-grandfather, wow. They hadn't even got out of high school, much less went to college. At the age of 8, I first heard the Beatles, and I decided I'm going to be the 5th Beatle. Well, that never happened. But I started wanting an electric guitar and asked my parents for one, and every year they tell me why they couldn't afford it and I couldn't have one. When I was 11, that year for Christmas, my parents got for me an electric guitar they ordered from the J.C. Penney catalog.
Wow.
They paid $99 for the whole rig, and it took them a full year to pay it off. They paid a little every month till they could pay for it. I had no idea what a sacrifice that was, but it was a huge sacrifice for them. But that guitar changed my life. It gave me the confidence to get in front of people, and I grew up really never feeling like I was good enough, that I could compete, because when you don't have the things maybe the other kids, transformational for a kid to get his or her hands on a musical instrument and learn how to play.
Sure. I mean, we in our neck of the woods, we have the JAM program, and that seems to be along the same lines, but that is something that you should really be proud of, and I think more people need to know about that. But,
well, and I'll say this, Rick, when I was governor, we mandated that every student in Arkansas would have a music and arts education, K through 12, taught by certified teachers who actually knew what they were doing, not just people who said, let's listen to a record and that's music class. That's not music class. You need someone to inspire and challenge students. And, if we had kids that had a musical instrument in their hand, not as many of them would have a knife or a gun or a syringe in their hand injecting drugs into their veins. It gives a person a purpose. It gives them something to live for. And
sure does.
Boy, if without that, kids get off on the wrong foot.
I totally agree. Let's talk to Mr. Peek here now. He seems to be the man of the hour.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Lamar, it's good to have you, and it's I've talked to you on the phone for months, and it was so good to walk into the room and see this fine gentleman that I feel like I'm going to be friends with for the rest of my life. But tell us, I know you're going to be giving us a little bit of this on Governor Huckabee Show about how this transpired, but how does it feel to be able to be in Nashville, be on a really great television show and meet a fine gentleman like this and be able to tell your story?
It couldn't be any better.
I guess not. Look at that. Kind of looks like a possum. Well, we're glad to be here with you, and I think
somebody's calling.
Somebody's calling. See, you're already getting offers already.
I think it's, I'm pretty sure it's probably Ricky Skaggs.
Probably.
Ricky Skaggs. I may need
Ricky's
that.
I'll be there in a minute.
He lives right down the road from here, so he may be calling.
Well, I'm just tickled to death to sit down with you fellas today, and this story's going to go on and on and on, and thank God for goodwill is all I can say,
Well, it's an amazing story, and it came to me as a shock to begin at the front of it. And the way this thing happened is that I had given this fiddle to my granddaughter, and the granddaughter had it at home, and then she got married, and the fiddle did not follow her to a new home. And the dad was cleaning out a room, and the old fiddle in the case was there, and he didn't think it was anything important. So he took it to Goodwill along with other items on it.
Man.
Oh. So they had it about 2 months, and then when they opened it up and they saw the paperwork in there, they thought, man, this may be something, valuable.
Exactly.
So they did some investigating on it and found out it was valuable.
Oh yeah.
So they put it in Goodwill auction, and my daughter, Fox News called my daughter and wanted to know who donated it, that they wanted to do an interview. And my daughter called me and all enthused and said, "Hey, congratulations! You giving Goodwill that fiddle, and the auction is already up to $7,000." Oh, good.
Whoa!
And I said, "Wait a minute! I didn't give no fiddle to
Yeah, exactly.
Goodwill." So the next morning, I hopped on the phone and was calling Goodwill, trying to get the fiddle back and pulled off the auction. And the people that I was talking to, they wasn't interested in it. So finally I told them, look, you're not going to be able to deliver the fiddle because I'm going to start legal action and have it in litigation. So we need to talk to somebody. So the next morning then the president of Goodwill called me, and we had a long chat, and I explained to him, and he said, "Okay, we'll have a meeting." And so we did, and after the meeting he said, well, he understood what happened, and he pulled the fiddle off. By that time, the auction had generated, I think, around $9,000. So when he agreed to give it back to me, I made a donation to him. I was willing to spend whatever it took to get the fiddle back, because my brother gave me that fiddle for me to be the custodian of it and pass it on to the grandkids and keep it into the family. So I wrote him a check for $1,000, donated that to him in Goodwill to get the fiddle back. Well, there's another story. There's a backstory which my daughter came on to. She was having a dinner party one evening for a group of lady friends, and somehow or another the fiddle came up in the conversation. And one of the ladies said, "Are you talking about the Roy Acuff Fiddle?" And she said, "Yeah." And my daughter said, "Well, how do you know about that?" She said, "Well, I'm on the board of directors of Goodwill Industries. I'm well familiar with it."
There you go.
And then she said, incidentally, a anonymous donor had donated $8,000 to Goodwill.
Wow.
There you go.
So they came out with the $8,000 from the donor, $1,000 from me, and they got to $9,000. So everybody came away happy. I came away with the fiddle. He came away with the money. And here we are today.
What a
Bada
great
boom,
story.
bada bing. Here you go. That's all you gotta have.
It's a great story.
That's right.
Great.
That's right. My brother would just be thrilled to know that this fiddle is here. And on your show particularly, because he was a fan of yours.
Well, that must mean he was a great American and a
He was
smart
a great
gentleman.
man. He
Good for
served
him.
27 years in the Army. So he
God bless
was a
him.
patriot, and he was a great fan of yours. And on Saturday night, he was tuned in.
That's fantastic. Well, we're honored to have you here, Lamar.
Well, I'm honored to be here.
Thrilled to be able to see that fiddle.
Yeah.
And to be able to let America know the story of this great instrument that was once in the hands of one of the great music artists of really this entire country's history.
All right. Well, I'm thrilled to have it here, and I know my brother's looking down today, and I know he's smiling, because I know
That's great.
that no amount of money would be more suitable for him than to have this fiddle in the museum and have it shown.
That's great. Well, man, we appreciate it, a whole bunch.
We're glad to have it.
Mountain Music Museum in Kingsport, Tennessee is very, very happy to be the next custodian of the fiddle and make sure that everybody gets to see this fiddle and it's used for educational purposes, and that means a lot to us. So,
Well,
thank you so much, Lamar.
We're happy to do it.
Thank you. Governor, thank you for sitting down with us.
My pleasure, Rick.
Right.
And Lamar, thank you.
Thank you.
What an honor to meet you, and great to hear the story
Honor's all
firsthand. Thank you, sir.
Thank
Rick
you.
Dollar, and we're live in Nashville, Tennessee with Governor Huckabee and Mr. Lamar Peek.